Hello, everyone, and welcome back to DSP versus the Internet, episode 75. This is now the sixth and final part. What I'd like to do is take a look at the remaining videos and see if there's certain ones that I would like to pull out. Pull out of the ones that were submitted. Let's see. Marketing research. BioWare defies the fans' Dragon Age Veilguard? I wonder what that's about. Let's see what that is. I have no idea. Let's see what this is.
None of this is real.
The old world is dying. Not with a bang or a whimper, but an Ocean's 11 style heist movie.
This doesn't look good, Ugly George. Two white folks trying to save the world?
But you're a ginger woman.
It's not enough. We need more diversity. Allies from the shadows.
Like another woman?
Like another woman.
And then we'd need another ginger dude. Can't have diversity without equity.
Nah, can't trust them. How about brown?
killed 'em.
But not too brown.
And
So
they killed them.
Asian. There are billions of them.
We need someone with the power over life and death. A rich old white guy?
No, we need someone urban.
Oh my god, what song is this they're playing? What the hell? Is this the real song from the trailer? I don't remember. I don't know about champagne bottles popping. What the fuck? Wow.
We could also use a drag queen.
Right.
And someone without a race or a gender for our undefined audience to project themselves onto.
One more. We need a blank slate. Someone who is nothing to be our everything. I mean, no skin, no face, no identifiable features, so nobody gets pissed off. But where are we gonna find?
Hey.
The main character, of course.
Oh, shit.
They're perfect.
Together, we can brace for the negative reviews as BioWare defies the fans and does whatever the fuck they want with their beloved IP.
The dragon sings.
The rest of us can go drown in our own tears. If you were 4 when Dragon Age 3 came out, this is the game for you. What can I say?
Well, here's the thing. With a game having a variety cast, that's a good thing. In fact, Dragon Age 3 had that too. If you don't know, Inquisition definitely had that too. So this isn't a new thing for the Dragon Age franchise, okay, at all. But if they do want to retain their core audience, the game has to be similar to the tone and the gameplay style of the last game. From the gameplay, not what we just saw there, but from the gameplay that they showed, it seems similar to me. Although I think that the class they showed, I think it was Rogue class, that wasn't a good representation, because in Dragon Age, usually it's more than just hack and slash with different variations of you know, abilities and attacks and the like. So I actually feel like if they had showed off a different class, like a magic class or a hybrid class, rather than just rogue slash, it may have shown the game off better. But here's the thing. We're in the era of 2024, right? And everyone is going to call out everything. We're in the era of Disney going woke and all of that. So when you're going to make a game like this, you have to be sure that what you're showing is a fair representation. Was that trailer the fair representation? Was the gameplay snippet that we saw fair representation? You know? It seems like they definitely, with that trailer, were going for a vibe. But is that going to be what the game is? I don't know. Keep in mind, we've seen nothing else, right? Since then, since that gameplay reveal, which was, what, like 2-3 months ago? We haven't seen anything else. Actually, it was a month and a half ago, right? So we don't know yet. I guess we'll see as we get closer to it. But yes, I get it. They're trying to hit all the tropes now, right? All of the tropes that, look, every single thing will be represented in this and blah, blah, blah. So, okay, hold on, because I just got a giant tip. I just received a $49 tip. Someone said invested. Wow. Well, thank you so much. I think I should grab a vest, but we don't have time for a poll. So I'm just going to grab one. What color vest do you guys think would pop on this new camera? What color do you guys want? What do you think? Derp level critical says, why do people get upset about non-binary representation in today's media? Here's my take. I'm not offended at it at all, but you went from 0 to 100, correct? We went from gaming being all white male protagonists to, okay, all the women have to be over-sexualized, correct? And then all of a sudden, in like the last 5 years, it's become, now every game needs to have someone who's LGBTQ or whatever it is, right? So there has to be every race represented. Everything must be there. So they went from like, literally, they went from 0 representation to 100 and every game has to have it. And that's not a natural progression. That's like being slapped in the face. So by doing it by that harsh invasion, a lot of people are going to have issue with it. People like to be eased into shit. They fear change. Do they not? So by just saying, now that everything's going to have it around you, deal with it, a lot of people are upset. Okay? Personally, I don't mind having it included. It's, you know, you don't have to play a character that's like that if you don't want. It's okay to have the option if you want, right? I don't think every single story needs to have that. At the same time, it's nice to have some stories that have it, correct? So the variety is welcome. But when you go 0 to 1,000, that's when people start to get upset. It's just, you went from no representation to mass over-representation. There's no middle ground. There's no balance. You need to have moderation. Don't you understand that? I guess not. I guess these people are dumb. Okay. I'm trying to think what color will really stand out here on the new camera. How does that look? Wow. Oh my God. Wow. Well, these colors really pop now. Holy crap. The camera's having a problem white adjusting for how bright this is. Look, the camera's legit having issues. It's like, oh, I don't know how to balance. Now I think it balanced. It didn't know how to balance there for a second. Okay. Let's see. Ex-mob boss reacts to Vice City. That could be pretty neat. We probably won't watch the whole thing. Let's watch some of it.
Organized crime is pretty organized. People don't understand. Mafia in this country existed for well over 100 years.
Stop running, you fat slime ball.
Is this realistic? When we went after somebody, we shoot them. That's it. You know, the big problem with the mob back in that day is they didn't keep up with the technology. You know, the FBI, you know, and all law enforcement agencies were ahead of us back then.
Ah. That's interesting.
But it's all drugs, Sonny. None of the families will touch that shit.
That's true. A lot of controversy over drugs. Younger guys wanted to get into it. The older guys said no, dirty business. But there was a lot of controversy. And I believe after the mid-'80s, that's when people started to deal drugs a little bit more. There's too much money involved. But during my era, you die for it. But it's pretty realistic here.
Here's the deal. They want a straight exchange on open ground. All right? Okay, stay tight. Let's
That
go.
should lower the
Yeah,
camera.
part of the problem in the drug business, there's so many informants, so many rats. It's just so hard. You don't know who to trust. It's one of the dirtiest businesses out
A little
there.
better?
And that's why we were leery of it too. You know, plus you
Yeah.
get a lot of time for drugs.
Got it?
100% pure grade A Colombian, my friend.
Let me see it.
Every Colombian I met in prison during my time, they were all drug dealers. Every one of them. I get it. You know, lucrative business, a lot of money involved, but tough business.
Hello, Sonny.
You know, there was a thought at the time when the cell phones first came out that you couldn't tap. And we were wrong about that. Our information, our intel was wrong because you could obviously tap a cell phone.
Right.
And a lot of guys got in trouble for it. But it brings me back. I remember those old Motorola phones that were so big. We had them in the cars also. Everybody started using them. Too much chatter on the phone. This is a conversation that should never have taken place over the telephone.
Hey, doing time for the family is no piece of cake, but the family looks after its own, okay?
That's not true. You go to prison, the family's not looking out after you. Trust me on that. You know, if you don't have any money, you're in trouble. Nobody's throwing money at you when you're in prison. The only money that you get is the money that you had on the street. And maybe they'll take care of business for you until it runs out. And I know that firsthand because my dad, got a 50-year prison sentence. And when his money ran out, it ran out. Part of the reasons I got involved in the life. You know, I'm not saying guys wouldn't make a mistake and have this kind of conversation on the phone. How many guys were caught on wiretaps? You know, so many. You know, the big problem with the mob back in that day is they didn't keep up with the technology. You know, the FBI, and all law enforcement agencies were ahead of us back then. I mean, they even had surveillance devices, in phone booths, in parking meters. They had it everywhere, and we didn't realize. We used to go out and talk by a parking meter, and we didn't realize it was bugged. They also had some kind of device where they could have pointed something at you from, several hundred feet away, and they could have picked up the conversation. So many guys went down because of conversations like this.
Mercedes?
You try living with it. Anyway, let me point out some of our more distinguished guests. That's our Congressman Alex Shrub with Rising Silicon Star.
I can tell you what, not surprised that politicians are involved in this. They love, guys with money, guys with influence, guys with power. They didn't care what you were dealing with.
He's not chopping up. My internet's chopping up. Hold on. My internet is chopping up for a second here. Hold on, guys. My internet is having issues because the video is chopping up too. It's going to come right back. Yeah, it's coming back. We had a blip in the line. It's okay. I'm back now. Yeah, look at this. Dude, no lie. The brightness of this outfit makes my camera screw up. My new camera has an issue with the bright colors because look, when I go closer to it, look, it's like overwashed out now. Wow. Okay. We should be back, everyone, if you want to hit refresh. I stopped recording because we were having a blip in the internet itself. So, okay, let's continue.
That time.
And the chatty trio, that sleeping sweat gland is Papa's right-hand gimp, Gonzalez. And the other two are Pastor Richards and pseudo-intellectual film director Steve Scott.
Well, listen, not unrealistic at all. We had a lot of celebrities, a lot of politicians around us. The money, the power, the influence. So this is certainly realistic in that regard.
Oh, I thought that you were taking care of this. I really did. And now those Guidos say we gotta do them a favor.
You mean I gotta do them a favor?
Oh, of course that's what I mean. Do I look like I can intimidate a jury?
Jury tampering. Well, so many of us went on trial. Anytime we can get to a juror. One of the advantages that we had in New York is that there were so many of us. There were 750 made guys, and we had a lot of associates. So whenever there was a jury trial, we would try to see if maybe one of our friends, our relatives, somebody we knew, even our neighbors, had any contact with a juror, a potential juror. And of course, if we can get just one juror, that's all we need, to get a hung jury if it was going the wrong way. We were always on the lookout for that, no doubt. Normally you wouldn't want to intimidate a juror. You'd want to get them on your side. You want to pay them off. You catch more flies with honey than you do with vinegar. So try to pay off a juror if you can. And it happened in a Gotti trial. Sammy Gravano, copped to that, that he reached out to a juror, was paying him. It happens, believe me, more than you might think.
For this kindness, I'll reward you. And then we will find your money together. It will be at ease.
Guaranteed either of these two men didn't trust each other. And, but when there was a setup like that, you'd go the distance to find out who did it and to retaliate, no doubt.
I'm gonna shut that big mouth of yours. He's got a blade. Stop running, you fat slime ball.
Is this realistic? When we went after somebody, we shoot him. That's it. Do you torture a guy? On a few occasions, there were some guys in our life that, just got a charge out of that. But most of the time, you just do it quick. Do it quick and get out.
Yeah, that chainsaw scene is definitely, what movie was it? Scarface? One of them, they did the chainsaw murder. They just wanted to have that in there. Alright, that's cool. This is a cool video. I would actually like to watch more of that eventually. But I think I want to do a couple more videos before we adjourn here. I think we'll watch this one. This is me versus Tokido at EVO. Yes, this was my highest placement ever at EVO, where I got 4th place, and the top 3 were all Japanese players. This is a good match. But Tokido definitely knows the Vega mirror match better than me, and I make a bunch of mistakes in this matchup. So here we go. I don't know what side I'm on. I think I'm Red Vega. I always picked Red Vega, so that would be me on the right, I think. Awful. Made so many mistakes so badly in that first round. So I'm trying to play more conservative this time instead of doing risky stuff. Should have done that. Should have done that. Oh! I got lucky. I don't know why I'm doing that wall stab. The wall stab is not safe. If they block it, they get a guaranteed punish. So doing that wall stab is an awful idea. And I keep doing it. It's so dumb. So 1-1. And now the final round. I think I get trounced in this for final round.
Round 3, fight!
Oh my god. That's it. That's the beginning of the end. Yep. That's game. It's game. I can't get out. Yep. All because I let him get the one wall dive on me. It all ended, that first wall dive that hit, right here. I'll show you.
Round 3, fight!
This is good. I'm pressuring. I'm pushing him to the corner. That's what I want. See? Okay. Again, the air-to-air is as good. I'm poking it. I want to stay at this range that I'm at right now and keep him where he is, or I want to start wall diving. But here's where I make my big mistake. Right there. That's it. That's literally it. When I got hit by the wall dive, now we've switched positions. He's going to have the advantageous position literally for the next several wall dives. And unless I can get out of it, and I don't. I could have, like, jumped at neutral jumped and stuff. I could have tried to backflip. There's a few things I could have done. But for the most part, that was it. When I made one mistake and allowed him to get a wall dive on me, and that was game. That was it. He was going to have advantage for the rest of the round. So, all right. So, Tokido beat me. And that was when my highest placement ever. I got 4th place. And then Japanese players got top 3 that year. So, let's see here. We don't have much time left. We have like 10 minutes, so I want to find something that will fit that time frame. We did a lot of political stuff already. How about why most AAA games have no soul from a year ago?
What is happening to the studios we loved? How can they make some of the greatest games of all time, then turn around and just make disappointment after disappointment? It felt like the end of AAA games, but then Elden Ring came out. Why is Elden Ring such a breath of fresh air?
It's not. It's Dark Souls 4. It followed suit. It's not a breath of fresh air. It just followed suit for what they were doing well and didn't change for the worse. It's not an amazing knock you on your ass game at all.
When most other AAA games feel copy-pasted. And why did this game cause so much controversy?
Elden Ring is Game of the Year? The game is you bastard, man.
To answer these questions, we first need to understand that when Elden Ring came out, the game defied everyone's expectation. Elden Ring sold 12 million copies in the first 2 weeks. Even Miyazaki, the mastermind behind Elden Ring,
He was
by
surprised,
the
yep.
success. And to put the sales into context, Elden Ring at release was on pace to sell the same amount of copies as some of the best-selling open-world games of the last decade. GTA 5, Skyrim, and Breath of the Wild. I mean, if you really think about it, Elden Ring should not have been performing as well as these other games. Don't get me wrong, Elden Ring is an incredible game, but most FromSoft games are pretty niche and usually target a more hardcore and advanced player base. By nature, FromSoft games shouldn't sell as much as Zelda or GTA, but this time, Elden Ring did. Why? What was different about Elden Ring, and what?
Accessibility. The game allowed you to win in ways that the other ones didn't. You could not only summon humans to help you, but you could have Ash summons that would distract the bosses and enemies and allow you to just win because they weren't attacking you. There were way more broken builds. And the game was not linear. So because the game wasn't linear, if you couldn't beat something, you could go off in another direction, beat stuff in that direction, level up a ton, turn around and go back to what you couldn't beat before, and now you can beat it because you've leveled above it. It's that simple. It was accessibility. And it's funny because for the longest time, FromSoft was against any kind of accessibility, and then they added in that level of accessibility in Elden Ring. Best-selling game they've ever made. What a shocking twist, right? No, that's all it was. That's literally all it is.
Set it apart from other FromSoft games? The answer? Nothing really. Yes, Elden Ring was open world, so unlike other Souls games, you could avoid certain bosses and areas.
Runny
Yes, the
nose.
lore was some of the best I'd ever seen in a game. The world was so immersive that I don't think I could ever find everything in the mysterious world of the lands between.
I did.
Seriously, Elden Ring is a masterpiece. Go play this game. But I would argue that almost every FromSoft game is a masterpiece too. And just like the other Souls games, Elden Ring still targets a hardcore player base, and the gameplay is still punishing as hell. So why then is Elden Ring capturing a much larger chunk of the gaming market? There is a huge demand for high quality AAA games, and not much of a supply. I mean, imagine you're at a restaurant, and you have a hankering for some steak, but they're out of stock. All they have left is some burnt scraps of cooked steak they can shovel onto a plate, or you can get a delicious honey-baked ham with a sweet honey drizzle. So although you wanted a steak, you choose the honey-baked ham because the steak scraps just aren't edible. This is the AAA game market we are in right now. Millions of gamers looking at the piss-poor options, praying to Gabe, the god of Steam, to give them anything fun and exciting. It doesn't matter what genre, as long as it's good. Just give us something edible and satisfying. So when Elden Ring came out and the world saw how amazing this game was, people who were originally intimidated by Souls games looked at Elden Ring and said, screw it. Let's try it out. I got nothing else to play. So like the guy choosing the ham over the burnt steak, I would argue that Elden Ring's meteoric success is not only a byproduct of how good the game is, but because there's such a small supply of good AAA titles right now. Elden Ring really is the best option on the menu. However, like every industry, there will be people who hate or love something purely because of its popularity. And man, do we have a few in the gaming industry. But what's surprising this time, many of the people who hate Elden Ring are developers at other studios, infuriated by Elden Ring's success.
Same developer who said, Elden Ring's UX is so bad that I can only imagine FromSoft's devs smoking at their desks and using CRT monitors.
I guess these developers felt that the game violated certain tenets of game development, and by violating these rules of development, Elden Ring didn't deserve its success. Why would these devs be so angry about Elden Ring's success?
I don't know what they're talking about. Take a look at the HUD. That's the HUD. Look at it. What were they even discussing? Look at that HUD. It's a minimalist HUD. Stuff only shows up when you need it. They were just upset because Elden Ring did so well and didn't do anything different. It just stuck to its roots, but then had a little bit of accessibility, you know? While all the other studios either tried to go a different direction with their games and failed, or lost the talent that made those games shine to begin with. Like, take a look at the 10th Battlefield, or, you know, Watch Dogs Legion. Watch Dogs Legion doesn't hold a candle to Watch Dogs 2. Why? What happened? Because they probably gave it to other dev teams, right? Here, do this, do that. They're losing the people. Essentially, they are losing the people who were the good game devs. That's the problem, right? That's definitely part of the problem. You can't retain the talent anymore. They leave, but you want to keep making the same franchise. But now, that's like You have a restaurant. I know, we're going to do another restaurant analogy. It's an amazing Italian restaurant, and the main course that everyone loves is the lasagna. But the lasagna is the special recipe of the head chef. Well, the head chef leaves. You have other people who come in, they still make the lasagna, but it's not nearly as good as the head chef's recipe. People aren't going to come back for the lasagna anymore, right? You might still call it the same lasagna at your restaurant, but it's not. It's different. You lost the recipe. You lost the quality. And that's what's happened a lot. That is absolutely what has happened a lot with games. They're pushing on these long-lasting franchises, but the games aren't nearly the quality they used to be. The same people aren't even making the games anymore, right? So how do you expect that just on name recognition alone you're going to sell a game? No, you have to have the game be as good as the previous iterations to have people keep coming back. Elden Ring literally feels like Dark Souls 3 with a more open world and accessibility, so it's great, right? There you go. They didn't change it. They didn't reinvent the wheel. They didn't make it a completely different game. They went with what worked and added new features. Duh. There's your problem. If you lose the talent that's making the games good, you're not going to keep making those same good games, despite what you call them.
Who cares if Elden Ring didn't follow the rules of game development? It's not like Elden Ring's success affects them. Well, mostly. I can see why developers at Guerrilla Games were upset. Elden Ring released only 1 week after Horizon Forbidden West, so you could say that Elden Ring overshadowed the hype around Horizon.
Oh yeah, they destroyed
Horizon
them.
Possibly didn't perform as expected. The reason is petty, and in no way Elden Ring's fault, but at least I can see where the Guerrilla devs' frustration comes from.
No, that's not Elden Ring's fault. That's their management team's fault. How idiotic can you be to release your game the week before the most hyped game of the year? I don't care if you think your game's good. Separate yourself from your competition. Don't cannibalize the market. You're an idiot for releasing that game the week before Elden Ring. That's just, it's idiotic. They should have known better, and they should have, if that game had sold a month earlier, it would have actually sold more copies. For sure. It's their own management and marketing team's fault.
But why were Ubisoft devs so upset? None of their sales were affected by the release of Elden Ring. Now, remember, these were only a few people and not the whole studio who were angry at Elden Ring. However, the response from gamers to not only these devs, but Ubisoft as a whole, showed us something really interesting. Gamers are tired of playing the same thing. We are tired of the formulaic nature of Ubisoft.
I hate to tell you this, but Elden Ring is incredibly formulaic to FromSoft, so this is not a point that stands at all.
In most other AAA games.
Sure, yeah. It has a satisfying shooter-looter game loop, the graphics are great, the mechanics are well-tuned and executed, and the story's acceptable.
Bummer?
Yeah! It's exactly the same as all other Ubisoft games. It's just another copy-paste.
You see, when every user interface, every store, and every game looks relatively the same, we notice. It's like hotel art. Each piece of art is theoretically different, but somehow feels and functions exactly the same. So when the first few Assassin's Creed games came out, they felt new and exciting. Running around the Holy Land of Rome, leaping off buildings, sneaking or hiding in hay bales, it was unique. But now, I can barely tell the difference between Assassin's Creed gameplay and every other Ubisoft game. Ubisoft thinks if they just change the era and location of each game, we won't notice. I mean, one has knives and one has guns, right? But just like hotel art, they may look different, they don't feel any different. It's the same game with a new coat of paint. This reason is why Ubisoft devs reacted the way they did. They have been taught that to make a successful game, you need to follow a formula. So when a studio like FromSoft makes Elden Ring without the formula, and it's incredibly successful,
they followed the formula. This entire video is flawed. 2.5 million views. Dude, Elden Ring is so formulaic. The only difference is the accessibility and the addition of a few open world segments that are kind of boring and repetitive. What the hell is this guy talking about? Did he even fucking play Elden Ring? What is he talking about? He's completely wrong. Seriously, you didn't change it. It feels like Dark Souls 4. And that's fine. If you like that formula, you're going to love the game. That's the difference. Watch Dogs Legion changed too much from Watch Dogs 2 and sucked. Right? Assassin's Creed, what happened? They put too many of them out in a short period of time, and then when they changed them, they copied Witcher 3. And no one liked that. The changes they made, no one liked. So now they have to try to figure out how to go back or make hybrids, which is what they're doing with Shadows, where you're going to have some of it feels like the combat of the open world games. Some of it will feel like the combat of classic Assassin's Creed, right? Like, I mean, honestly, FromSoft lucked out by never having an accessible game until Elden Ring. Because now it's a new franchise, it's a chance to present something as a new product, even though it really isn't, but then make it accessible to the masses so more people can enjoy it. They basically struck gold twice. They struck gold when they originally created these super hard games, and then they struck gold a second time by re-releasing it as a new franchise and making it accessible. They haven't innovated at all. There's no innovation in Elden Ring. There's not. I find this hilarious that he thinks that it's such an innovative game. It's not at all. His reasoning is completely wrong. The problem is these game devs have lost their way because they lost the talent that was the core behind the studios to propel them to success, and the management actually doesn't know how to deal with the talent they have. They don't know what they're doing. If anything, what it shows is that the reason these games originally succeeded was not the management, but the talent behind it. And now that the talent has left, the games all suck. It wasn't Yves Guillemot who made all the Ubisoft games good, right? It wasn't Todd Howard that made all the Bethesda games good. It was the dev teams that they don't work for these guys anymore. They left. And now they have the shell of their former selves teams that are overworked, underpaid, bureaucracy out the ass, and they can't pump out a good game to save the studio. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the problem. There's no core innovative part of Elden Ring that made it a success. That's ridiculous. It's Dark Souls 4. Anyway, that's about it for this week. That's about Thank you guys for watching DSP versus the Internet. I hope you enjoyed the show. Thanks to those who supported this week. I mean, a huge amount of tips. Thank you so much. Hope that you enjoyed. And remember, if you want to be a part of the fun next week, become a member today. Ultra members, we are guaranteed to watch all those clips like we did. And submissions tier, you have an equal chance to be watched. We really didn't get through that many this week, honestly. How many did we actually watch this week? Let's see. We did 1, 2, 3. Oh, we did more than I thought. 4, 5, 6, 7. We went through 7 of like 18. So we got around half. All right. Fair enough. So thank you. Please become a member today. And thank you for supporting the channel. See you next week at the correct time of Sunday. You know, this week we did it on Monday because I was sick. Hopefully next week it'll be back to normal on Sunday. Hey guys, peace out and see you later.